So the results are in, and yeah, I probably should have rolled the last video's subject into a sequel to the Repaints Palooza. I mean, it was already an extra short episode, but it was also like 1/3 a different review, 1/3 the review it should have been, and 1/3 a PSA at the end. But you all seem to like that video a lot, especially the message at the end, and I'm really happy that that reached so many people. To be clear to everyone, I'm fine. Thank you for your concern, but that message was for you all. One I originally wanted to do in my 1K subscriber special. Never did it because I was worried that it was too heavy and that you all didn't want to hear it, so it was very gratifying to see it mean so much to so many. Before starting, there's a little under 2 weeks between now and the channel's 2-year anniversary. I'm trying to get as close to 9K as possible in that time, so if you enjoyed this video by the end, please consider subscribing. And your likes, please give. Anyways, while the previous video absolutely should have been part of a larger video about retools, this retool absolutely needs a video to itself. It's 86 Junkheap. Hasbro has taken one of the best Voyagers they've ever made, and also one of the biggest of the last few years, and retooled it so extensively this is almost its own thing. How did they have the budget for this? I mean, how did they even have the budget for Wreck-Gar in the first place? But how did they have the budget for what they did here? So much more paint, so many new parts. The Ironhide from last time felt different, this just is different. Aside from the new head, this thing also has a new chest, new shoulders, these new added plates on both the arms which are each unique, and a transformation with either 2 or 6 new steps depending on how you count them, as well as the multitude of new paint apps. I think this thing may actually have more paint than the figure it originates from, and the whole thing feels as good as ever. There is no mold degradation here, there is no cheapness, no shitty paint application. It's all top tier, and this is why Hasbro needs to be held to a better standard. This is why people need to stop trying to make excuses when Hasbro does a bad job by saying garbage like, "It's a $30 figure, what do you expect?" Maybe not this, because this is amazing, and I'm shocked that they were willing to give us this without any chicanery, but this is proof that they can do way better than they often do. Some figures like Rhinox are going to suck because they have bad designers. Admittedly, it's going to happen. Not all the molds can be winners. But at the very least, Hasbro could put the budget and the effort into them. It's not asking too much to not have them sell us figures that feel like a ripoff. Like Flame War, who is exactly the figure it should be, but is $40. I'm sorry, I didn't realize that including a crappy $5 weaponizer that we all already have doubles the price of any deluxe that it comes with. Anyways, as impressively different and as quality as this guy is, I'm shocked that they actually went with Junkheap as the second tooling of this mold. I mean, he's easily the ugliest Junkion, though I suppose that he is the one that's most compatible with Wreck-Gar's existing body type. Really, the only significant change to his body's structure is that his wheels should incorporate into the backs of his legs, which is understandably left off here. Take that in comparison with, say, Hazmat, who is a much fatter boy. Quick question, is this Hazmat's mouth? Or is this his mouth? If it is, he looks like if the Cookie Monster was a Junkion. Anyways, that's my best guess as to why they chose this goofy-looking fucker to be the high-effort retool of Wreck-Gar. There isn't a metric ton of paint here, most of this guy's design aesthetic is just left up to different color plastics, which you know me, I'm all for. The paint he actually gets mostly just helps break him up a little further. I'm actually pretty happy that they used this separate black color found nowhere else on the figure for these little vents here. If that wasn't here, I wouldn't realize it's missing, but it is just yet one more touch of quality that shows Hasbro really cared for once. For some reason. And it amazes me just how much small details like the chest tubes and the little spiky shoulders that honestly kind of creep me out. Like to me, these just look like crystallized blood punching up through the skin on the tops of his shoulders, or like the insides of Unicron's mouth from those shots in the movie. Anyways, it amazes me just how much those details change how this feels. Those alone would really, in junction with the new head, make this feel like a new Junkion. But then you got his huge double shields, and they just take this even further. Like theoretically, you could have given Wreck-Gar double shields as well, but those were both of his tires, which hilariously you can't actually mount on his arms anymore because of these new chunks of armor. So instead, you gotta drop those down to his kneecaps. This guy really wanted to protect his groin and thighs. Between the forearm and knee shields, his vitals are left pretty open, but nothing is getting at his crotch. Which is a bit too wide, kind of looks like he's wearing a diaper. The buckler on his right arm is purely just a shield, but the one on his opposite arm actually has a blaster built into it, potentially making this the first Cybertronian that I know of to canonically be left-handed. Can anyone else think of one? Cause I can't. Gotta say though that this guy's colors are very 70s. I mean, this is just so gross looking with that brown and burgundy and sickly gold. The movie was made in '86, so was this just the last dregs of America's ugliest decade unwilling to die? Or was this guy supposed to look like he was outdated, so that's why he wound up in the garbage? Just like this dude's Viking-ass head. Real talk, people need to stop worshipping Vikings. They were cool. They weren't the coolest society ever to exist. And you definitely wouldn't want to live in it today. Always strikes me nuts to hear, yeah, I'd go back in time and be a Viking. Motherfucker, no you wouldn't. And you know how I know? You put salt on your food and you wipe your ass with toilet paper. If you like spices and not having a dirty ass, then guess what? No human being currently alive would choose to live in pretty much any era prior to 1890. Anyways, this ugly though well-made mug comes across like one of those old box TVs plonked down on his shoulders. The more I look at his face though, the more I think that he's actually supposed to look Asian. With the helmet and bone structure, I get a real Mongolian vibe off of him as opposed to my initial Viking impressions. The interesting thing is that as part of the transformation, they made his horns variable, so moving them back and you can kind of change the look of his head. Once you get them all the way back, he kind of looks like a Megatron wannabe. Like, if the Junkions ever did a crappy off-Broadway play of the Great Cybertronian War, we all know who they'd have play the Despot. So despite the fact that I think this is a pretty ugly design, it sure is a well-handled one. The passion and care this background character got when making this figure is something Hasbro sometimes fails to put on characters like Soundwave and Starscream. Like, just look at Coronation Screamer. That thing sucks. It has always sucked since Earthrise, and it was made no better, but they charged almost double price for it, and when cases of leaders show up at stores, there are 3 of those things in a box and 1 sludge. Is that the price we pay to get retools of this caliber? No sludges and 3 Coronation Starscreams that no one wants? Anyways, this is an excellent robot mode, with tons of changes made to it to turn one of the best Voyagers we've gotten in years into an almost entirely new character. Briefly going to touch on the accessories. He comes with the same pinwheel axe as always, that's better than a fidget spinner. Comes with the same high quality, well painted, multiple parts, spinning parts-forming tire shields as ever that can only store on his legs now. And lastly, he's got his 2 new permanently affixed shields. It's cool that they are both unique, and that the one on the left side is designed to be blast effect compatible, as well as act as the exhaust for the motorcycle. Posability is unchanged, so if you want to see how this articulates, give my video on the Wreck-Gar this is retooled from more views and more likes. But just to be clear, it's excellent, despite having really average elbows and knees, and I think this guy also might have slightly more upwards range on the head. Transformation is actually really altered here, and kind of only for the worse. This was always a smart, though not particularly smooth process. And the addition of the new side panels that really kind of block up a lot of what you're doing is something that pretty much only serves to complicate things in a not particularly complicated, though very frustrating way. It does, in the end, make everything lock together a lot more securely, but it does also serve to make a transformation you can already look at and just not feel like doing even less enticing. It's not bad, like, it doesn't suck, it's just really Though, the annoyances this can bring can also be combated with a lot of practice. Like, this is a conversion that's just weird enough that it's hard to stick in your head, but after having transformed this thing probably close to 60 times between this version and the Wreck-Gar, I do have a handle on it now. Though, I'm sure while filming this, having the camera in my way will make this even less fun. But once you pass through that mediocre process, you get a motorcycle whose vibe has indeed and truly been changed. Not simply due to the new parts, but also because of the deco. Like, this brown strip going along the side to kind of imply that this part continues on through the huge crack in it is really helping this thing, and it does kind of disguise the gap. Kind of. This still could have lined up a lot better. And there's even new sculpting on display here that wasn't present in the robot mode. Because this, I don't know what this part is called, Gauge Protector, is a new piece as well. Though, I have to say, the sculpting on it kind of annoys me, because it looks like this part is designed to hinge open. But it doesn't. OCD man problems. The new side panels really help this feel like a different model of vehicle, as well as hide some of the figure's faults, and it makes it less likely to have parts untransformed. Plus, you can have it burning exhaust, which I really appreciate, though the blast effect that can fit this properly is few and far between. Sadly, while Wreck-Gar can ride this, it's a little undersized for him. It fits skinnier, though larger than the current average deluxe scale characters, a lot better. Ultimately, this figure rules. I gave it to Wreck-Gar, and I gotta give it to this one too. It's another micro masterpiece that really wouldn't be almost any better if it was like 200 bucks. There's just not much to improve here. Aside from the wheels not going into the backs of the legs, this is almost exactly what it needs to be. It's near flawlessly screen accurate, it comes with a lot of good stuff, it poses great, though it could use more range on the elbows and knees, the QC is amazing, the transformation isn't a winner, but it's not bad, even with its parts forming, and the alt mode is fantastic, arguably even better than the Wreck-Gar. It's shocking just how hard they went on this retool, and the only reason you might not want this is because it's an absolute nobody of a character. Also, it's kind of intentionally ugly. But really, I do recommend this. I would be shocked if you picked this up and weren't happy with it. I think you'll really love this. And that's not half what I have to say, but it's enough what I have to say. And I know you know what everyone else tells you to do at the end of these videos. So, if you liked what you saw here, please do that. And if you'd like to take it a step further, then please share this video with any friend you think may be interested. I hope you all enjoyed listening to me waste your time.